Straight ahead on the Valley today, an urgent call overnight. 2 major wildfires have firefighters rushing to get flames under control.
Also coming up, the FBI knocks on the door of a second Minnesotan and arrests her for what she did, or what they say she did rather, in Washington, D.C. on those January 6th attacks.
Plus, 4's the limit. If a plan in Dilworth goes through, some city leaders want to restrict how many pets you can have in your house. But first, it's being called a milestone announcement on the FM flood diversion, and it's happening in just a few hours from now. North Dakota Senator John Hoeven and Governor Doug Burgum, along with the Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, will be in Fargo for that announcement.
They're going to have a press conference at 9:30 this morning at the Fargo City Commission. Before the announcement, there will also be a roundtable discussion. Now stay with us right here at Valley News Live as we follow this announcement. Also, breaking news just into our newsroom this morning. Prince Philip of England has died at the age of 99. He was the husband of Queen Elizabeth and the longest serving consort of any British monarch.
Philip spent 65 years supporting the Queen before retiring from his public role in 2017. He died this morning at Windsor Castle.
New this morning, firefighters in Williston spent the night attacking 2 major wildfires burning just west of the city. They're the latest in a series of fires out in western North Dakota.
Fire crews say it's an active situation made worse by wind that kicked up overnight. They've asked people to stay away from the area, but we have not heard of any evacuations. Another Minnesotan is facing criminal charges in connection with the January 6th riots in Washington, D.C. The FBI arrested 39-year-old Victoria White of Rochester. She's charged with violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, entering a restricted building without authority, impeding law enforcement officers performing official duties, and obstruction of justice and Congress.
A 31-year-old Moorhead man was arrested in the case as well in early March. Jordan Stotts is accused of entering a restricted building and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. A medical expert at the Derek Chauvin murder trial says George Floyd died from a lack of oxygen that damaged his brain and then caused his heart to stop. Dr. Martin Tobin is a lung and critical care specialist from Illinois who testified the other day that Floyd's breathing was too shallow to take in enough oxygen while he was pinned on his stomach with his hands cuffed behind his back for 9.5 minutes.
Tobin's testimony came a day after a use of force expert said Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck area the entire time that he was pinned.
It is now 10 minutes before the top of the hour. We want to get a check of our forecast, and Lisa is using all the tools she has. We're talking rain, we're talking sun, we're talking snow. You have a busy couple of days
yes,
here, Lisa.
We are. I sure do. Yes, it's all of the weather that Mother Nature has to offer in April here. And we're talking about rain this morning. There's also some fog out there too affecting us here. You can see here on our Skycam in Fargo on our First Alert Skycam network, we continue to get raindrops on our camera dome. We've got wet roads for those morning commuters out there this morning too. So headlights on, and of course you want to take it easy as you are going out and heading to where you need to be, because in addition to the rain, there is that fog. And in Lake Park, we've been having some trouble with that. This is a DOT shot along Highway 10 there, and it looks much better here right now along Highway 10 there. You could see that there is some fog in the distance though, and there are other places being impacted with lower visibilities as well. So again, a murky morning here on this Friday, but it means that we're getting more rain, and the timing of the sunshine returning is perfect heading into the weekend. So all good things here for us in the valley. Missing out in the west. I know you need some rain desperately up in the Devil's Lake area and back over into the James River Valley. We have more opportunities for that for you coming up in the forecast, getting some moisture. But right now it's right in the heart of the Red River Valley, extreme southeastern North Dakota. Fargo, Moorhead seeing that rain. There's also some showers backing in from the east too. They're all going to just kind of meet up and bring us some rain here in northwest Minnesota and along the Red River. Showers up in Grand Forks as well and surrounding areas. So again, current conditions on the rainy side, on the gloomy side. We've got temperatures that are pretty uniform throughout the valley. Some mid-30s to some upper 30s here, above freezing, but cold enough that you're going to be chilled if you aren't able to stay dry. So make sure you've got your umbrellas, your wind breakers there, and with the waterproof layer there for us here today because of that. Winds are out of the northwest. They're into the 5 to 15 mile per hour range. Those will pick up today. Our current temperatures, again, into those 30s. Visibility, I mentioned it's pretty low in spots. Detroit Lakes is less than a mile. There are surrounding areas that are struggling with visibility right now. So here's your bus stop planner. Rain shower hours for that morning wait at the bus stop for a lot of us. This afternoon, that will be ending as the rain moves off to the east. And this weekend, looking good, dry, and Saturday especially looking really good, a high of 59 degrees. More clouds moving in on Sunday. And I mentioned those places that didn't get moisture this time around. You have a shot at it next week. It just comes with that measurable snow potential Monday into Tuesday with that first alert weather day for both of those days. So something to keep in mind as you're going through the weekend, that Monday may be bringing about quite a bit of change.
We like to block out Mondays going into the weekend, but a good idea to plan ahead and just know it's coming. Thank you, Lisa.
New this morning, with about half the ballots counted, Amazon holds a commanding lead in the historic union election at one of its Alabama warehouses. Out of the more than 3,000 ballots cast, 1,100 votes were against unionization, 463 votes in support.
Approximately 5,800 workers were eligible to vote to decide whether to join the union. About 55% cast ballots. A 1-year-old Minnesota girl is in a Twin Cities burn unit after being trapped in a burning house. It happened around 9:30 Wednesday night in Verndale, Minnesota. The mom tried to rescue the baby, who was trapped in the upstairs of the house, but couldn't get to her.
Firefighters ended up getting to the girl through a window. She was then flown to Hennepin County Medical Center. There's no word on her condition this morning. Her mother was also treated for smoke inhalation and burns. The North Dakota Senate has approved a bill that removes the requirement to retreat before using deadly force. The bill is similar to laws in nearly 40 other states where people can use deadly force as a first line of defense.
It also expands rights to be used while in a car and not just on their property. The bill now goes back to the House for them to consider some new amendments. A Detroit Lakes woman is out nearly $7,000. The woman believes she was helping her grandson, but actually fell into the trap of a scammer.
85-year-old Shirley Purrington got a phone call Monday morning from someone that she thought was her grandson. He explained he was in Florida and in trouble, but it was actually a scammer who insisted that it would cost nearly $7,000 to help her grandson.
He said it was supposed to go to the bank and get the money, cash. They said they wouldn't, they didn't want a check.
According to AARP, scammers have stolen nearly $400 million during the pandemic. You can hear more of Shirley's story on our VNL News app.
How many is too many when it comes to dogs and cats in a single home? Dilworth leaders are looking to limit the number of pets per household. The proposal calls for no more than 4 or more dogs or cats, or a combination of both.
It provides exceptions for sheltered and/or abandoned animals if owners apply for a permit through the police department. If approved, it would align with what Moorhead already has on its books.
No, that's not fair. You should be able to do whatever you want. It's your house. You pay the bills. You do whatever you want. It doesn't make any sense why the city should be able to control that.
If it's just something like simple like a cat or a dog like that to me it's not fair, because that's like putting a limit on children.
The City Council will vote on that proposal on Monday. We have a COVID vaccination option for veterans. The VA healthcare system is now offering COVID-19 vaccines to veterans, their spouses, and their caregivers. It's available to all categories of veterans regardless of character of discharge.
It also includes a widow or widower of a veteran. If you are interested, you can find more information on our website, valleynewslive.com.
People are freezing for a reason this weekend. It's the yearly polar plunge to raise funds for the Special Olympics.
The Valley Today's Brian Sherrod joins us live this morning with the details. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan. Lisa, the polar plunge is actually going to be right where I am right now, the Delta by Marriott parking lot. So plenty of room to be able to do this here. Now they're expecting about 40 plungers to take that deep dive into their pool area, or the diving area, we want to definitely call that. And it's to raise money for people with intellectual disabilities, and the money raised will go towards their health and fitness. Now, this is the first time having this event since 2019. The president tells me that it was postponed 3 times last year before cancellation because of the pandemic in 2020. Now, they also said it was a big loss in revenue because they were predicting it to be the greatest year yet. Now, there is some good news. You can win prizes for best costume, the best legs, youngest plunger, oldest plunger, most money raised by a team, and most money raised by an individual. The president also saying for first-time plungers, she has a special message for you.
You can walk up the steps and you're looking down at the water and your heart is racing and you're just like really nervous, and it's just like, oh, it's going to be so cold. And it is so cold.
Oh, and indeed it is. Now, the plunger must raise at least $75. Sign-ups with the walk-ups are available and welcomed. It will be tomorrow at noon, and the plunge begins at 12:30. Volunteers are welcomed as well. So these full details can be found at Valley News Live, and I'm hearing that one of our own might be emceeing the event this weekend as well.
Yes, I've done it a couple years. I'll be emceeing tomorrow as well. It's super fun. I love the style of, whether they do a belly flop or a cannonball. Their outfits are awesome. And I mentioned earlier, too, the Cass and Clay County Sheriffs, the police chiefs are the judges. And I think you may be docked points if you splash them, but everybody else cheers. So I'm hoping for a lot of splashing. And it is a good time. You can just come out and watch as well tomorrow
And it's all for a good cause.
It
Help
is a great
people
cause.
support them in their journey. Brian Sherrod reporting live. Thank you.
A California Eagle Scout is stepping up in a big way for some special needs kids in his community. He turned a not-so-lovely garden into a treat for the senses and is helping children cope with what COVID took from them.
He and his team set up stations that showcase each of the senses, and it's turning into a much-needed outlet of energy for students at his old grade school. The sensory garden is now giving kids a chance to blossom again after 1 year spent at home.
Let's get our answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. Here's today's question. A study found that doing this can actually reduce stress and anxiety in your life.
I don't know if I agree with this. The answer is grocery shopping. I feel like it increases my anxiety.
Well, if you do it by yourself, if you have kids you don't want your kids with because that's stressful. So could you swap that out for Target shopping though?
Oh, yes. The Target
Okay.
run always reduces the stress and
Target,
reduces my
not
bank
the
account.
grocery store.
But thank you for joining us here on this Friday morning. We continue on the Fargo CW. Have a great weekend, everybody.